So, what's the bad news? More orcs rampaging through the docks? Or have those infernal statues sent another soul flying to his death? A sheep? That's a whole heap of nonsense. Don't bother me with such wild tales. I suppose you're right. At least if I tell you myself, you'll hear the proper account of things. I buried that blasted sheep, but I swear on my lucky left foot I had nothing to do with that body disappearing. 1 minute it was on my slab, you see. I left the room for just a moment to answer the bell in the front parlor, and when I returned, the body was simply gone. In its place was a sack containing more gold coins than I could even count. The message was clear. Silence is golden. My business has been declining right alongside the rest of our blighted city. And that sack of gold was worth more than I made during one of the good years. I needed cash, and someone needed my silence. I knew I had to bury something or risk being found out. So that night, I stole into the market and made off with Bertia's fattest sheep. It was a bloody waste to stick so much fine meat into the ground to rot, but it had to be done. The next day, the pallbearers retrieved Jake's coffin, sealed to hide the body's terrible wounds, none the wiser that within the casket lay nothing more venerable than a slaughtered beast. Now, you can imagine I've spent more than my share of restless nights wondering who could have wanted that cadaver and for what purpose. I'm not an inch closer to imagining the why, but I've got a few inklings as to the who. Near as I can reckon, there are only 4 people who could have been involved. Mayor Cecil, Captain Aureus, Theleron's apprentice Evelyn, and Esmeralda. Plenty of us shopkeepers entrust the mayor with the spare keys to our businesses, you know. And he's the only person in town with a second copy of the key to the mortuary. He could have used it to sidle in without a peep, if he were so inclined. Aureus himself paid me a visit the night the body was delivered. Came rapping at my door in the frosty morning before the sun had even started peeping, and told me to tell him, and only him, if I noticed anything strange or suspicious about the remains. Can't see why he'd bothered to go through all that trouble, unless he knew something the rest of us don't. I know it sounds strange suspecting the doctor's apprentice of something so ghoulish as this, but there's few in this city could manage to transport a corpse without raising eyebrows. It was she who delivered Jake's body from the inn to the mortuary. And there was something about her that night. Some kind of excitement. Seemed she could barely contain her thoughts. That there was something thrilling about to happen. I can't quite settle it in my mind how a young medical professional would have such a strange reaction to an occasion such as that. And this may or may not have anything to do with the whole rigmarole. But her master, Dr. Theleron, bought an old shack of mine, one overtaken by undead, for an exorbitant price considering what he was getting. I never did figure what he wanted it for, but he sure seemed eager. I never saw a widow less distraught at the death of her husband, and I've seen hundreds pass through my parlor. It was she who rang my bell just before the body was snatched, lured me outside claiming she needed air, before discussing the funeral arrangements. Some accomplice could have sneaked in and grabbed the remains while I was comforting the oh-so-overcome Esmeralda. That gold's the only good thing to come out of this blasted affair, and I certainly plan on making some use of it. You know, I reckon Bertia really didn't get a fair shake in all this, did she? Here, take the money and give it to her. Times are hard enough as they are.
Now, this is valuable. Looks like the mortician is rather suspicious about Jake.
What could Mayor Cecil, Captain Aureus, or Evelyn have to do with it?
Jake? Where are you? Are you here, Jake? Jake! Wow, that dead sheep smells pretty great. I mean, wow. But it's nothing to join you. No way. I mean, you smell pretty great. Even better than the dumpster behind the butcher's house. And the town is full of scary stuff like body snatchers and bathtubs. Without my best friend, the most awesome Jake ever, here to protect me, I'd rather stay far away. Just bring those smelly items to me here. Someone stole Jake? Jake stole my ball once, but then he threw it far, and I went and I got it. And Jake was awesome. Listen, if you go around town and find someone who you think might have done it, bring me a really stinky something of theirs. And I'll see if I can smell Jake on it. An awesome smell. I couldn't mistake it. Esmeralda? Ugh, terrible smell. Like flowers and soap. Not awesome. Ugh, hated her. Aureus is kind of awesome. Evelyn, too. They both have a sweaty, dead thingy smell. Cecil, he's all right, I guess. Mostly, he smells like old books, which is neither awesome nor non-awesome. Bring me anything of theirs, and I'll be able to tell you if I can sniff out Jake's smell on them. Jake has the best smell. I'd know it anywhere. Did you find something for me to stick my nose into? Aureus, hey? Let's give it a whiff. Definitely no Jakeness on this thing. Nope, not a hint of Jake. I've heard people say that politicians stink. Give me a whiff, and I'll be able to tell you if it's a Jake kind of stink. No, not him. No scent of Jake whatsoever.
Here lies David, who ran from the Reaper. You'll never catch me alive.
Where are you, Jake? Are you playing without me?
Look here, even a sage and author as renowned as I is flattered when mortals dare among the dead to seek him out. Well, here I am, Nemris the Wise. You may go wide-eyed with amazement now. As if I need introduction. Nemris the thinker, the theorist, the visionary. Come now, surely you lack the time, as I do, for such silly questions. Oh, I've written so many celebrated treatises, but of course you have read and revered the philosophy of death, the diamond in the crown that is my literary legacy. There isn't a civilized soul alive that hasn't perused its profound pages percolating with perspicacity. Alas, that so few show an understanding of my words, so few show the expected intellectual growth when I put them to the test. You can, and indeed you must, but alas, I was not buried with a printed version of that blueprint of genius that is my inimitably esteemed essay. Never fear, though, for each and every library in Revellon boasts a copy, the gilded cherry on their paper pie. Do you truly feel you are ready to prove that you have read and understood the philosophy of death? Then we shall proceed to test the mettle of your acumen forthwith. Between life and death, death is the greater force. So argues the clergyman. Is he correct?
Of course not.
Correct. He is not.
Let us proceed. Life is life's own goal, the question that is itself the answer. Good! Now I am unburdened of all worries, am I not?
Are you playing without me?
Not entirely, no.
I concur.
Last query. Boldly do I scorn the bonds of faith and fear. Death I dub thee life's equal. Is this my salvation or my undoing?
Rest in peace.
Your salvation.
Indeed.
Oh, most impressive. Nothing short of miraculous. You have verily fathomed the message of my book. My undying respect is yours, to an extent. Content in the knowledge that my legacy is in good hands. Ta-ta! I shall see you in the next life.
Jake?
Rest in
Where are
peace,
you?
darling.
Are you here, Jake? Jake?
Damson dugongs, you nearly startled me out of my boots. Well, you've got my attention, comrade. But what'll you do if you stumble upon a cast of enraged source crabs? Well, I reckon I'll grab a pint at the King Crab Inn until you lot come to your senses. Medora salutes you, comrades, until we meet again.
Fortune!
Wolgraff looks at you expectantly. Clearly, he wants to know whether or not you're ready to allow him to join your party. Wolgraff eagerly catches your gaze with the best puppy eyes imitation he can muster.
I could use someone with your specific type of expertise. Consider yourself hired.
Be welcome, Wolgraff. Riches await, if you'll obtain them for us.
Wolgraff smiles and shakes your hand in thanks. With a gesture of the arm, he seems to say, "I'm ready. Lead the way." You call to Wolgraff. He awaits your queries. Wolgraff gives a curt, disgruntled nod, and with a gesture that suggests the drinking out of a mug of ale, he seems to indicate he'll be at the King Crab Inn should you change your mind.
Made a big change on your block with a whale of the good stuff.
Omnes autem mali daemonis quam. What? What is this? Who are you to interrupt my musings? By Naga the Protector, they have the manners of boors, these boatmen of Sicil. Oh, but perhaps I spoke too soon. Perhaps I was mistaken, for you hardly resemble the local fisherfolk, which, incidentally, is a compliment of copious dimensions indeed. No, a source hunter, that is what you are. Yes, a stalker of sorcery, a chaser of charms pernicious. In truth, I cannot go so far as to say it is a pleasure to make your acquaintance, for I take no pleasure in the company of man. But it may just be to our mutual advantage to join forces nonetheless. Why, simply because you hunt source, and I, Jahan, hunt demons. You are aware, of course, that quite often both of these pests frequent the same shadowy pools of infamy. Now, I hate what I hunt, but I respect its cunning. Should I not, I'd have been decimated, body and soul, long since. This is a sentiment I'm quite certain you must recognize. Let there be strength in cunning, yes, but also in numbers. The calculus of wizardry I offer you, the might of the magician's mastermind. On one condition, that on our joint travels we will never deal with demonic entities, no matter how tempting their propositions. Give me your word on this, and I'll weave you spells.
Very well. There will be no deals with demons.
Agreed. Nothing good ever came from bargaining with those devils anyway.
Most gratifying. I see you are firm of purpose, and thereby ready to descend. Descend into the madness that is sorcery, into the depths where demons dance. Gladly shall I follow you into the abyss. Onward, blood and triumph await.
Thing's naughty, hasn't she?
A slice of this fine corpus there.
Daemon Daemonium. I'll find you yet. Of course you do. I am not from any place anymore. I go where my quest leads me. Besides, the name would mean nothing to you. The glorious city in the glorious kingdom where I was born. I remember them well, the sandstone castles, hued like the very sun that batters their battlements without rest. I can see them still. The fountained gardens and halls of pearl-colored marble inlaid with gemstones set in shapes of plants and beasts. Yes, I can see them still, though when I try to focus on their details, like mirages they dissolve upon approach. Time, it frays the foundations of memory. For 1,000 reasons, and for one especial. The 1,000 obvious ones are list with pleasure. The special one, that is my secret to keep. 1. Their scourge taints the natural world. 2. Their machinations irreversibly corrupt minds. 3. Their perversions seek to end all beauty. 4. Their schemes unhinge the fabric of space and time. 5. Their presence distorts all intrinsic harmony.
Do I seem like the sort who concerns myself with such things?
Hunter, I could find you cross-dressed under the spell of a dominant goblin, yet when next we'd meet there'd be no questions asked. I have my secrets. Undoubtedly, you have yours. They are ours to keep. Do you now? Yours is this mistake to make, Hunter, and yours is the opportunity to set it right. Until then, I shall be in the King Crab.
Alistair, have you ever had the fortune of challenging the fabled wizard
You
of
call
hunters?
to Wolgraff. He awaits your queries. With a simple nod, the rogue seems to say, "Shoot!"
Ancient and arcane
Wolgraff
secret.
sighs and pulls parchment parts out of his pockets. He opts for the largest one he can find and sits down, pen in hand.
When I was a kid, friends and I used to play source hunters. Neighbour's dog was the sorcerer. Good fun. One day, we saw strangers in the forest. They looked dodgy. Dark robes, big knives. Friends fled, but I followed them. They took a man into a cave, cut his throat, held him over a blue stone. Blood turned it into ruby. I warned the source hunters in the city. Caught the cutthroats. Source hunters called me a hero. Bad guys were hung. I witnessed the hanging. Sorcerer spoke a spell before the trapdoor opened. I was mute, just like that. Always wanted to be a source hunter, but source hunters didn't want no mutiny order. Can't blame them. Too bad though, too bad.
Wolgraff frowns and signals you to hold on for an instant. He begins to write and gives you a scrap of paper.
Not easy being mute. Can't talk and folks think you're slow in the head. No one ever gave me work, though I'm good with my hands. Was poor. Got hungry. Got thirsty. Stole stuff. Then got greedy. Became a cat burglar. Told you, I'm good with my hands. Would have done honest work with them, given the chance. A long time ago. I ain't bitter about it, though. Like the rogue's life. Freedom. Unless the law gets you. Haven't yet. Too nimble. Too good. Born for adventure.
The rogue smiles broadly and dramatically produces the quill in question. He holds it aloft for all to admire, then jots down the following words.
Saw a wizard once in the village up north. Hunter's Edge. Wizard had nifty things. Brooms that sweep by themselves. Big star viewer in the garden. Went into his house by night. Found quill by spellbooks. Kept it. Never needed ink no more. Hands used to be black as chimney sweeps. Clean now. Clean of ink, that is, not of thievery. Man's got to eat after all.
He should be so lucky as to be defeated by Alistair the Great.
Tense dugongs, you nearly startled me out of my boots. You've got my attention, comrade. My hand to your cause and my sword at your side, comrade.